All right, guys. So today we are here to talk about a very interesting pair of headphones. Now, this pair that we're going to talk about today, which is the Meze Poet, I actually saw first when I was at Can Jam in New York. It immediately caught my attention because of the design. These do come in retailing at $2,000, and this isn't even Meze's most expensive headphone. So if you're just a normal consumer, you're going to immediately think, why would somebody pay that kind of money? And I get that, but if you're an audiophile, you already know that this hobby can get pretty expensive, and $2,000 isn't anywhere near as expensive as a lot of the other ones out there. And you can tell it's a premium headphone, but I never actually got to try it because there was a lot of people at the booth, and I didn't want to stand there and wait. And plus, like, the showroom floor is not the best place to experience a headphone. So what is the Meze Poet? It is an open back planar headphone. It is using a similar diaphragm to Meze's Elite model, which retails for $4,000. It has the dual coil system in here. So it's basically, think about it this way. It's like having dual drivers, but it's really coils set up in two different ways. There's one at the bottom that's more of a spiral, and it's made to handle the mids and the treble. And then the coils up top is what's handling your low end. So it's kind of separating what's handling the low end from what's handling the mids and the treble. We'll talk about that part once we get to the sound. But the one thing that I think is really, really special about these is the design, and it is the build. Again, it's what immediately caught my attention when I saw them at Can Jam. And then when you really start to dive into it, everything on these headphones can be replaced. Now, it does have a magnesium body. It is using a suede leather headband, and this is actually where your left and right are marked. It's where it dips on both sides, so it's kind of hidden in a way, which I think is kind of interesting, so you don't have like this big L or big R anywhere on these headphones. Another thing is the ear pads on these are magnetic, so it's very easy to take these off. It's very easy to just switch these later down the road if you start to have wear and tear on your ear pads. And now, as far as what they've included in the box, and I do want to point out that for $2,000, the packaging is pretty blah. There's nothing special about this at all. You can see that it just says Poet on the outside of a cardboard box, and they didn't even try to hide that it's a cardboard box. That's literally what this is. But inside the box, you do get this very large, hard carrying case. This is not a headphone that you would want to travel with. This isn't one that you're going to take on a plane with you, obviously, because of an open back headphone. So I think this is more so just to keep these protected while you're at home. This isn't your normal carrying case for a pair of headphones. Now, inside this, it does come with a little leather carrying pouch. This is just basically to hold the cable that they've included. Now, the cable that they've included is very nice. It is a long cable. It is also braided. You do plug into both ear cups, and the plug-in that you plug into whatever device you're using is actually a 1/4 inch plug-in by default. It's not a 3.5 millimeter plug-in with a 1/4 inch adapter. It is only a 1/4 inch, which I think is their way of saying this headphone needs to be used plugged into an amp or plugged into like a home theater system. This isn't one that you would plug, into your phone. It's not one that you would plug in, straight into a laptop or anything like that. Although you could. I mean, if you look at the specs, the impedance level on these is only 55 ohms with a sensitivity of 101 decibels. So it's really easy to drive if all you want to do is get decent volume out of these. But if you really want to experience the low end and the mids and the highs and be able to control and alter this in any way, you definitely want to plug these into a DAC and into an amp. This is just what allows you to open these up. I use a Theo K11 the whole time that I was testing these because it's very powerful for its size, but it's still small. I actually have it under my mini PC, and it's the exact same, width and depth, though it doesn't really take up any space on my desktop. The frequency range on the headphones are 4 Hertz to 96 kilohertz. And at this point, we really just need to go ahead and jump right into the sound. It is definitely a warmer sounding headphone. It's not bass heavy. It's not going to be that overly aggressive low end. If you've checked out planar magnetic headphones in the past, you kind of already expect this. I haven't had any planars that just blow me away when it comes to the low end, but I am kind of blown away in how they're handling the low end. So there's a lot of impact. You can hear the bass, but it's extremely fast. It's able to move from like one hit of the drums to the next. It actually handles sub bass pretty well, but it's controlled. It's not sitting around and affecting the mids and the treble. You can tell that they're trying to separate everything pretty nicely. And I think that's, again, going back to that dual coil system that they have. So those larger coils up top handling the low end keeps that separated from the mids and the treble. And this is the huge plus about these. Having that spiral coil that's right there near your ear canal, this is where the mids and the treble are being pumped in. So I feel like you're getting a lot of detail in these. The mids just sound incredible. It didn't matter if it was male or female vocalists, different acoustic instruments, you can just hear the strings. It's fantastic the way that it handles mids, but it keeps it pretty natural. It doesn't make it seem like, all right, you know, the singer just got right up in your face and then you can't hear everything else. It feels like you're in a live environment and everything is on stage about like 50 feet away from you. So there's some good depth to these as well. And then when it comes to the treble on these shy away from being like overly bright. I didn't feel like these were overly harsh. And I think this goes back to what they're saying is the AMTS tech that they're using. This is what's dampening the treble a little bit. It's not overly bright where, you know, you need to take a break because it's just too much for your ears to be able to handle. It just has a smooth sound to it. And then when it comes to the soundstage and the sound imaging, although I said it sounds like, you know, they're on stage about 50 feet away, it still isn't as open as a lot of other open back headphones that I've tried. And I don't know if it's because of the way that the planars are set up. It does feel like there is some blockage between your ear and the outside world. So that actually is kind of nice because with it being an open back, it still has some characteristics of a closed back where you can have that more intimate feel to them. It feels like it's just you and the artist and not you and everybody else in an audience watching the artist. I think that's like the best way to explain these. So my overall opinion is this. Is $2,000 a lot of money for a pair of headphones? That kind of just depends on the buyer itself. I definitely do not think this is going to be for normal consumers. This is definitely geared more towards audiophiles, but I think it's kind of the same thing when you're in the market looking for a car. All of the options on a dealership, for the most part, is going to get you from point A to point B. But it really kind of comes down to how you want your experience to be from point A to point B. And I think the Meze Poet delivers in a lot of different ways. The handcrafted build of these, the fact that you can replace all of the parts. I mean, you're spending a lot of money, but at least there's some peace of mind to knowing that a year or two down the road, you're not going to have to just chunk these because they're not good anymore. The fact that they broke or something like that. If something breaks, you can easily replace it on these. So this is a pair of headphones you can have for a long time. So I guess you could just kind of consider it more of an investment. But I was very impressed with the sound quality, especially just paired with the FIO K11. But it's really going to come down to if you're looking to spend this kind of money on a pair of headphones. I mean, I've only reviewed maybe a handful of headphones in this price range, but I do feel like the Meze Poet is offering something to make it stand out. And the big thing is a lot of that has to do with the sound quality itself. But guys, that's my video on the Meze Poet. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.